Hello snowboarders of the internet. I'm your host Kevin with another Angry Snowboarder review, and today I'm going to be talking about the bent metal joint. So I primarily rode these on my personal Rome Alec Agent 155, but I did also take these to test a bunch of boards at Coppers. I rode it on the LibTech Rocket, the LibTech E-Jack, the Niche Ether, the Niche Story, and the Niche Maelstrom. I rode the Alec at Breckenridge. It was kind of later-ish season, kind of bridging in between like the actual winter and spring at that point, so still pretty decent conditions. The snow hadn't quite turned full-on slush yet. Just kind of your average late season conditions. You know, there's a little bit of soft snow here and there to mine, but nothing major, so just really truly your average conditions. And then at Copper it was your pretty average midwinter conditions. So we had some pretty good snow at that point still, so there was some pockets here and there. It hadn't snowed super recently, but good conditions overall. Not super cold, not super warm, pretty much straight average for Colorado for midwinter. Not all that much going on with adjustability with these bindings. It is a unibody binding, so the rest of the bent metal line for the most part has the aluminum heel cup so you can move in and out. This guy is solid nylon all the way across. So your adjustability really just comes down to your toolless adjustable pieces on the straps. You just flip up the tab, spin them out, move it to where you need to, get it centered, and bolt it back down. So super easy there, nothing really complicated. And then the only legacy piece of this binding from the old generation to the new generation bent metals is the forward lean block. It's basically just a solid block of rubber that has an offset hole to mount it to the high back with that you just rotate to get your different forward leans. It works really well. It's super simple, and yeah, it just works. That's pretty much the adjustability you can get out of this binding. Straps on these are pretty much as basic as you can possibly get. They're injected plastic, and that's it. There is a lot of 3D shaping going on with the ankle strap, so it actually does a really good job of molding over your boot and really hugging your boot and not leaving any gaps or any open areas to cause any pressure points or anything. And it has a decent flex to it. It definitely has a little bit more of that movement kind of feel to it, so a little bit softer feeling. It's not super stiff side to side. You know, it has some give to it straightforward. So driving and powering through the front of the strap, you're going to flex it and it is going to give, but it's not unsupportive. You're still going to feel like you're being held in. You're still going to feel like that strap is there. The toe strap is really about as simple as a toe strap could possibly be. It's just one solid piece of plastic with a window right where your toe goes, and honestly, I don't really see much of a reason to do anything drastically different than this style. It works. Your little toe box pokes through that window and it just stays put because it's stiff enough that you can get it tight and you don't feel it because it's going to be on the front of your toe. So solid toe strap, decent ankle strap, not something that's crazy supportive. If you're looking for that more supportive feel, this is going to feel soft, but it works pretty well overall. Really the only thing to talk about with these ratchets is the sound they make. They make a little bit of a different sound. It has a slightly different tone to it compared to the rest of the ratchets in the industry, and it's nice. Other than that, they went pretty much unnoticed, so which is a good thing, because if you're noticing a ratchet, it's either doing something weird or doing something wrong. So they went unnoticed. That's a good thing. The high back is definitely a little bit more on the movement side of the stiffness spectrum. It's got some flex to it. It is a classic nylon construction, but it does have this big window up here. So it has a little bit more flex, especially up top. There's just less up there. But it does also have a fair amount of cupping to it. So it has a nice kind of 3D shape to it that wraps around your boot really well, and it really allows the binding to follow your boot as you're moving around on top of the board because of that flex. So it was never a high back that I felt like wasn't stiff enough for me, and certainly if I'm looking to ride, you know, much stiffer boards and looking to really drive hard and power hard, then it's going to feel a little bit soft for me. But on your kind of average stuff, or even on some stiffer boards, as long as I'm not looking for that really aggressive feel, it was plenty enough high back. So definitely on the softer side, a little bit more of that kind of freestyle movement oriented side, but not useless. With the little bit kind of more movement oriented feel on the strap, same thing on the high back, and then a little bit softer version of the drive plates that's on this in the unibody frame, so it doesn't have that aluminum heel cap back here. The binding definitely lands in that middle row to maybe slightly below middle of the road for flex. Definitely more on that being able to move around on top of the board, more freestyle, almost kind of skate inspired feel to it, but not useless flex. So you can put this on stiffer boards, it will get the job done as long as you're not a heavy rider or somebody that rides with a ton of power input. If you do, you can tend to overpower the flex of the binding a little bit, but overall, it works pretty well for most style of riders out there, lighter riders, or somebody looking for something that's gonna want that more freestyle, movement style flex. The story with the overall ride feel of these bindings is drive plates. So the footbed pops off of these guys, and the footbeds are actually made at Merv Manufacturing, so who make Liptech and Gnu. And the best part about them is it's a sandwich construction. So they give you the foam on top to kind of help soften things up and dampen things up a little bit. But really the story is that sandwich construction. This one specifically is boron. I don't really know what that means other than it feels slightly softer than the drive plate that's on the transfer, which is the salt one. So it has still that smoother, kind of softer feel to it right underfoot, but kind of the really way it works is if you've ever ridden a board that was just way too damp, this offers that level of dampening, except your board is still light. So you get that same level of dampening to it, but because this is so thin, it allows you to get closer down to the board, so you get a pretty good board feel out of it too. So it's kind of the best of both worlds of something that's gonna ride nice and smooth underfoot and really soak up vibrations, but you still get board feel out of it. That's really the thing to talk about with the ride feel on pretty much every bent metal for the most part is drive plates. Who is this binding for? It's for your average rider looking for a little bit more of a no frills binding that's not looking for something stiff and demanding. So it has that softer flex to it. It doesn't have the adjustability, the extra adjustability out of that aluminum heel cup, but that also means that there's way less to go wrong. Out of the entire line, I think I still prefer the transfer, but this one was actually ended up being pretty close. It is a little bit of a softer binding, but that doesn't really kind of get in the way of it. It still has enough power and drive to it to get the job done on just about any board that I really put it on, and I put it on a pretty wide selection and styles of different boards, and it held its own on all of them. It was able to perform, and I was able to ride those boards and not feel like the binding was holding me back at all. So if you're the type of rider that just blows stuff up, this is definitely going to be something you might want to look at, and that's just because there's nothing really on it to go wrong. There's no fabric, there's no foam, there's no rubber on the straps. The high back's very simple. There's no adjustability in the heel cup, but that also means that there's no adjustability to go wrong or come loose. So really all you gotta do is worry about making sure your ankle bolts are tight and your straps are tight. And that's it. So it's a really simple binding, and I think it works really well. Thanks for watching. I have been your host, Kevin, and that was my review of the bent metal joint. Has this been a binding you've been super interested in? Was this something you were really, really curious about? Has bent metal just been a brand you've been super interested in? Let's have a conversation about it. And while we're doing that, make sure you click the subscribe button and hit the bell. Make sure you get notifications when these videos are coming out. If you're interested in supporting us, the best way to do that is to check out Angry Snowboarder VIP. There's a lot more info in a video. Go ahead and check that out. Come back for the next video.